All right, Nick, let's talk about the Chicago Bears. The Bears finish out the season. They made some solid moves last year. I think they looked okay, but now with this new coaching staff in place, I think they're primed to make even bigger, even better moves and really take this team to the next level. And this latest move that has been linked to the Bears, I think would be absolute top. You can't really get much bigger than this. This would be massive for the Bears going forward. But before we get into that, I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, massive move linked to the Bears. I think this would be the biggest thing that they could possibly have done since getting a guy like Khalil Mack from the Oakland Raiders. This would be absolutely fantastic for the Bears. Let's get into the article and we can talk more about it on the other side. This is from PFF, and it says, per PFF post Super Bowl mock draft, the Cleveland Browns will trade Myles Garrett to the Chicago Bears for the number 10 overall pick, as well as a 2026 first round pick. Browns edge defender Myles Garrett officially requested a trade and was a bit on a media tour during the Super Bowl week to discuss his preferred destinations, namely Super Bowl contenders, PFF wrote. After a disappointing 2024 season, the Bears can go all in by addressing one of their few team needs. As for Cleveland, the team can get a nice haul of players who they clearly want out of, acquiring the number 10 overall pick in this year's draft. Well, that would be nice for Cleveland, but I think getting Garrett for the Bears would be even better. This could be a massive move. Nick, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one. But before we get to you, Bears fans, in the comment section below, we all saw what Montez Sweat did to this defensive line. Let us know now if they were able to get Myles Garrett. What do you think about that move? I think it could be something that would absolutely transform this team. Let us know in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on it? Is it a knock out of the park, a pickup if they're able to make it? Is it a C, maybe on the fence? You know, you're not too sure if it's going to be worth the cost, or is it an F? You don't want to waste the draft picks. You want to save them. You don't think it would be worth doing the move. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what do you think about this latest move potential for the Bears?
Yeah, there's been rumors going back probably about a week and a half now about the Bears being connected to Myles Garrett. And I think the interesting thing is over the past week and a half, over that time frame, is that there's been a lot of different teams. But I think the fact that PFF has come out and said they believe it's going to happen, I think pushes a lot of chips in the Bears' corner in terms of them being the favorite to trade for Myles Garrett. Here's why. Ryan Poles has been one wheeling dealer his entire career with the Chicago Bears. We've all seen that from the DJ Moore trade, from the Sweat trade to the Claypool trade, right? Whether it's a winning trade, a losing trade, it doesn't matter. Ryan Poles has proven himself to be a wheeler dealer to the extreme. But more importantly, he's an analytics guy. PFF is all about the analytics. They're probably the most famous analytics football organization basically in the media space right now. They do a phenomenal job breaking down the numbers. They don't just come up with opinions out of whole cloth. They don't just make things up. They break down what the numbers and data says and says, okay, this is what we think is going to happen. And the fact that PFF says we think that the Bears are going to trade up to get Garrett after the Bears have been rumored and linked to Garrett this entire time, I think it means it's going to happen. I think the Bears actually make this trade when it's all said and done. And I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, I'm willing to bet right now they're planning to make this trade as we speak. But when you go back to Ryan Poles with his analytics mindset, this is what he said in years past. He said, the other thing is, this was when he first came to the Bears. He says, the other thing is, I work with our analytics group. I always have in Kansas City, and I'll do that now. This is what he also said a little bit later about the same thing, probably the next year. He said, Poles believes in data and analytics differently than his predecessor. This was a report about Ryan Poles, former general manager Ryan Pace. While the Bears still trail other cutting edge organizations in analytics, Poles is showcasing a commitment to embracing information. This was a couple years ago now. Both these reports came out when Ryan Poles recently took over the Chicago Bears general manager role. Since then, he's built up their analytics department. He's employed an analytics mindset across the entire front office with generally success when it comes to trades, right? Some solid drafting as well. Not perfect, but generally pretty solid. Right now, the Bears have everything they think they need. They've got franchise quarterback. They've got talented skill position guys. They've got a good defense, a really good defense, especially when healthy. They've got an offensive-minded head coach who's done a lot of really good job with the hiring his staff across the board, offensive and defensive side, to pair with Caleb Williams. The only thing they're really missing, to be totally honest, is another dynamic defensive playmaker, whether it would be a linebacker, DB, or edge rusher. Any one at those positions will do. We saw what the Eagles did with their stack front four. I think it makes too much sense for the Bears to not take advantage of the Cleveland Browns wanting to move off of Miles Garrett. Miles Garrett, I should say, wanting to move off of the Cleveland Browns. The Browns reportedly want to keep Garrett, but I think that's kind of positioning on their part. They're trying to just drive up the price for their defensive end. I agree with PFF. I think the Bears make this trade. I think they're planning to do it as we speak. If we go back to when they made the trade for DJ Moore, when the Bears had number one pick, for weeks we didn't hear a peep out of Chicago, and then bang, it dropped, right? I think we're going to see a very similar approach here. It's going to be all quiet, right? There's a lot of buzz about a week or so ago. It's been all quiet ever since. And once the draft hits in a few short weeks, couple months. Actually, right now we're looking at 2.5 months away at this point. The Bears will make this trade. They'll get Miles Garrett, and we'll see a top 10 defense, a top 10 offense with a lot of momentum heading into the 2025 regular season.
Yeah, Nick, and you talk about what it would take to get Miles Garrett 2 first-round draft picks for the Bears. I think if you're any team worth your salt, if you had 2 shots at a first-round pick and it turned out that just one of those guys panned out and it happened to be Miles Garrett, you'd be pretty happy with those results. I think Miles Garrett is like the ideal type of player you get, a generational all-pro, Hall of Fame level, game wrecking defensive edge type player. So I think the value is there for Miles Garrett. I think this is a player that I'll say even better than what Khalil Mack brought to the team at the time. This is a team way more prepared. We saw, like I said, what Montez Sweat was able to do. I think Miles Garrett is, double, even triple that level as far as the effect that he can bring to it. And he's going to build up everybody on that defensive line as well, really elevate the play there. It's like you said, top 10 defense, definitely top 10 offense with Ben Johnson. You're hoping that happens as well. I don't see any reason why it would not. This would be an absolutely lethal Bears team. So if the price is right, I think the Bears go after Miles Garrett, and I think it absolutely makes sense for both sides. If you're Cleveland, you're getting a top 10 pick and another first-round pick. You're not going to get more for a guy like Miles Garrett. I'm sorry, he's good, but asking for more than that is just kind of ridiculous. For the Bears to give that kind of return away, you need the right player. The ends meet up too well here. This is the only team I'm thinking in that top 10 that's willing to make a trade like that. So I think this would be absolutely the perfect meeting of the minds here. Like you said, the analytics, polls saying this, and now PFF saying it, it makes this thing seem like it is too sure of a thing. I really like this potential move for the Bears.
And let's not forget that Poles, at least the way it currently sits, is at the end of his contract upcoming for the Bears. So he almost knows he's got to win it all this season. He has nothing to gain for sitting around and holding on to draft picks or picking up draft capital for the future. He's all about winning now and winning big now. It makes sense to go all in if you're Ryan Poles. It makes sense to go all in if you're the Bears. You've got your quarterback. He's cheap because he's on that rookie deal. Now's the time to be hyper aggressive, and I think the Bears do it. I think they make this trade here when it comes to the NFL draft, picking up Myles Garrett, and then I think they're the best defense in that division with a great offensive mind and a great quarterback and a talented offense. And I don't know if there's any reason why the Bears can't win that division. It's a tough one, but this kind of trade would certainly put them in a strong position to accomplish that goal.